Welcome to EP Daily. Today on the show, we whip it with my favorite archaeologist in the rundown.
Plus, Jose catches up with the cast of Star Wars Rebels Season 2.
And then Steve and Raju are here with a review of the new roguelike game, Darkest Dungeon.
I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family.
Also coming up, we get a first look at the BBC series, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. We get spinning with Tony Hawk Pro Skater and much more today on EP Daily. Brought to you by EB Games. I'm your host, Victor Lucas, bringing you the latest in everything cool every single day. The Jovitos are near. The poison is still fresh. 3 days. I better stop them with the rundown. Star Wars isn't the only franchise Disney wants to dig up. Speaking with Variety, Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy confirmed rumors that they're developing a new Indiana Jones adventure. She says they haven't started working on a script yet and isn't sure when the movie might get made, but assures fans that it will happen eventually. This echoes previous statements made by other Disney officials who have also said that they want to work out a good story before moving forward with the project. The biggest question about a new Indiana Jones movie is whether or not Harrison Ford will be back as the famed archaeologist or if a new and younger actor will be cast. The longer the studio waits, the less likely it seems that Ford, age 72, will return. I've already sent them my headshot. The father of modern skateboarding games wants to make a comeback. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 is on the way. It promises to do away with the gimmicky gameplay of the more recent Hawk titles and return the series to its roots by using the same basic gameplay mechanics of the original Pro Skater series. That makes a lot of sense given the extremely negative reception to the more recent games, including Ride, which forced the series to take a 5-year break. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 will hit consoles later this year. If you need a reminder of why the old Tony Hawk games were awesome, we'll have a look back at Pro Skater 1 and 2 later in the show. Icons and legends in the rundown. Here to help me talk about that is legendary Marissa Roberto. How are you doing?
Thank you so much for that.
Tony Hawk is making a comeback in the video game space. Are you excited about that?
No, I'm not, because
no emotional affinity to the past ones, the first ones?
No, not the past ones. I love Tony Hawk.
Yes.
I love everything to do with skateboarding. I'm a huge fan. Lord of the Dogtown. Love all the docks. I love the Bones Brigade. All that stuff. Love Tony Hawk. Big fan.
Yeah.
But the actual games themselves, they were good at first, but the first Tony Hawk game I ever played really was the one with the actual board, the ride. And that was not a good first experience with the Tony Hawk game.
Yes, no, but the Tony Hawk games started out fantastic. They were innovators. They really changed everything. But yeah, we all know what happened. Activision tried to just churn them out every year. They got crazier and crazier and lots of gimmicks in there.
Yeah.
It has to be a return to form. That's the plan, is to go back to the golden olden days and make something really awesome. I'm excited. I can't wait to see it at E3.
Yes.
And I too like Tony Hawk.
Yeah, why not?
But I don't like him as much as I like Harrison Ford. And so now we know that Indiana Jones is going to be back, and there's a new movie that's sort of in the pipeline at Disney. We don't know how long it's going to take. Harrison Ford is not getting any younger. Let's not let him fly anything anymore. And, you know, I mean, what do you think? Should he just call it quits? Should he tap out?
He's had a really good life.
Yes, he has.
And a really good career.
Yes, he has.
And I feel like we should just preserve that and keep that where it is. I'm not sure if it should be tainted in any way.
Right.
By coming back. I'm not trying to, I don't know, I feel like when I say things like that, I'm being a little bit ageist.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that either. But I also feel like we do have, you know, prime moments in our life. We peak.
Yeah.
We peak.
We peak.
And I think he's already peaked.
Well, this will be the determining factor, I think, with Star Wars coming out this year and sort of the public response and reaction to him in the Han Solo role.
Yeah.
I think if it's genuinely positive, I think he's got a real shot at making at least a partial appearance in the next Indiana Jones movie.
I do love seeing him.
I think it might be a bit of both. I think we might get that reboot with a new actor and
that guy that played the young version of him in Age of Adeline.
Either way, I'm lining up. I can't wait.
No, of course you are.
I love Indiana Jones as a character. I think, you know, it would be great to have Harrison Ford there, but I want more Indiana Jones features and properties out there. It'd be great.
Victor Lucas, I'm going to use a line from one of my favorite shows, Archer, because Victor Lucas is thinking right now, sploosh.
Okay, great. Well, let's go from Indiana Jones to Star Wars. We caught up with the cast of Star Wars Rebels Season 2.
pilot in the Imperial fleet that can outrun me.
We're talking about Rebels coming back for season 2. Tell me a little bit about building your character up from season 1, now taking it into season 2, and then Dave will ask you about, just putting it all together, making it happen.
So yeah, we saw where he started at the beginning of season 1. He was the streetwise kid who was very self-reliant, did everything on his own, and then came and met the Rebels, and that's where we started the show. And he learned how to grow with them and grow with his innate abilities that he had. He's learned to harness them, and he gets a lightsaber, and he has a teacher, and things are progressing very quickly. And by the end of the season, he's able to go into a battle with a very credible villain, but he goes into it with Kanan and comes out of it with a scar. And that takes us right into where season 2 is now.
And Dave, having worked on Star Wars for many years now, what is it like getting to build up another animated universe within this crazy big universe that Star Wars is becoming?
Oh, it's pretty great. I mean, I gotta say, it didn't really strike me until Celebration, where I've spent the last 2 days talking all about Clone Wars still, and fans still so devoted to that, and now Rebels, and we've had a huge reaction. And in part, that's because we have characters crossing over, and it's bringing different fan groups together, I think, and these characters become iconic. The medium might be animation, but the characters are real. People believe in them, they cosplay them, they treat them like they're just part of the big galaxy because they are. So it's really thrilling for me.
And what have we here? A Twi'lek I've yet to meet.
Tell me a little bit about your character and what it was like for you, to get to create a new character into the Star Wars universe.
Well, Hera is at once very nurturing, and she's sort of the mother of the group, but at the same time, she is a really great pilot, a stealth fighter, so she manages to combine elements of a very strong female icon, if you will. As far as being in the Star Wars universe, I have loved all the female characters, starting with Leia. Even Mon Mothma was awesome, Padme, then of course in the Clone Wars, Ahsoka. So to be in that pantheon, I am deeply honored.
What is it like creating Sabine and bringing her now a full season in? Now you get to go into season 2. How intense are you going to take this character?
Well, it's exciting because, season 1 was sort of like, we were learning who are these people as a unit, what functions they serve within the unit.
Did you hear that?
I don't hear. Wait, yeah. What is that?
We're also introducing this new character, and of course Sabine was the last member of the crew to accept him as part of this crew. So now that that's all sort of out of the way, I feel like we can really delve into each person's individual stories, which I've been dying to do. Like, when are we gonna get to find out where Sabine comes from? I only know a little bit. They don't allow me to know more, which is good, because I don't want to blurt it out somehow. So it's good that I don't know. What little I do know is so juicy that I'm like, let's flesh that out.
Introducing the major villain at the end of season 1.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what we can expect for season 2?
One of the things we talked about from the beginning of working on season 1 was if/when Darth Vader would enter into our story. There was some pressure, people wanting him to appear earlier because he's the most iconic character in Star Wars, maybe the most iconic character of all time, but we felt we really needed to earn his entrance into the show. And so we built a lot of the architecture of the first season around the rebellion that we knew, our rebels, getting bigger and bigger and causing more and more trouble. We would get all the way up the food chain for Darth Vader to have to step in. It takes a lot to get there. In the second season, now that he's aware of them and that they're a real problem, and he sees that they're not the only rebels out there, he's a much more active antagonist in the second season. But he's not the only antagonist. One of the dangers of having Darth Vader as a character is he can't fail too much. That is the most powerful character, one of the most powerful characters in the history of storytelling. You don't want him to keep showing up and missing our guys. It's okay to let stormtroopers miss. You don't want Darth Vader to miss.
Nice job from our talking bear there, or is he talking mountain?
I like talking bear.
Talking bear? Okay.
Yeah, we have to take a break now, but when we return, Vic is checking in with the BBC.
It sounds dull, but trust me, it's not. We'll have more right after this.
Grab some tea.
Mr. Norris!
Welcome back to EP Daily. Believe it or not, nerds tend to look to you, the BBC, for the best nerd shows.
That's absolutely correct. We started with Doctor Who, then we went to Sherlock Holmes. Now we have a new show called Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
All right, my friend, let's go to Victor Lucas to explain more.
Plenty good show.
wish to know, why is there no more magic done in England?
You're in the same show?
That's right, yeah. We play Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's about two men who appear more or less simultaneously to revive magic in England in 1806. And it's based on a novel of the same name, which was a huge bestseller published in 2004, even though it appears to all intents and purposes to be a novel of the period. Our piece is a period piece, a costume drama, but with the addition of magic, which is to say that's the sort of sideshow, but really it's about these profound and complex and nuanced human characters and one fairy.
Mr. Norrell! Is it a rivalry between these two, or are you guys kind of brotherly?
He's Mozart, I'm Salieri.
Okay.
So we work together, but he's brilliant, and I'm studious and envious of him.
Ah, yes.
He's being modest. I mean, the brilliance cuts both ways. But yeah, there is a certain rivalry that emerges. But I'm not going to give away the end of the story now.
Fair enough. So is there a sense of one-upmanship throughout the course of the series? Are we seeing stunts and illusions?
There's lots of magic. There's lots of magic signifies. Magic is very dangerous in the show.
Yeah.
And it's you create a world of chaos and a world of danger when you start to use magic. And in a sense, it reminds me of Breaking Bad in the sense that it's a man who does something, opens up a Pandora's box, and then can't put it back together.
Right. And
So,
can't control.
yeah, exactly. And it's told over 7 one-hour episodes, so it's multi-layered, multifaceted, and you empathize with us, you don't sympathize with us.
Hopefully the work will just speak for itself when people see it.
Now, it's not just a two-hander, though. You have other castmates in the show yet?
It's a fantastic ensemble.
Yeah.
It's like a Dickensian novel, but with magic.
Wonderful.
So there's great characters all over.
And set in London and shot all over London? Or?
It's set in London, Yorkshire, Venice,
France.
BBC is back that way. Now we skate.
Yeah, earlier in the show we mentioned that Tony Hawk 5 will be coming sometime in the near future. Woot! Now it's time to open up the old EP vault.
Stop with the sound effects, please. Now we're going to Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1.
And 2.
2?
That's right. Don't no 900 nosebone to stale fish me,
Okay,
homie.
you need to stop with the skater speak right now.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Tony Hawk Pro Skater for the PlayStation?
The best skateboarding game ever of all time. Every game these guys do, they get better and better and better. These guys are also the guys who are working on Spider-Man for the PlayStation. Wait till you see that.
The thing about Tony Hawk, man, animation of the skater, of Tony, of him doing all these wicked moves.
It really takes in the whole skater's attitude. You skate off of benches and through parks. To be honest with you, I wasn't really into the whole skateboarding thing. I'm like, oh, skateboarding game. But man, I love skateboarding now because of this game, and that's what video gaming's all about.
Totally legitimized the idea of making a skateboarding game.
What do you give it?
I give it 9.5 out of 10 too.
9.5
Tony
also.
Hawk rocks.
It does, it really does.
All right, now what did you think about Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 for the PlayStation?
Now, Tony Hawk 2 is everything the first game.
Right.
Plus,
more.
You can create your own skate park.
That
You
is
can
so
create
cool.
your own player.
The first game was brilliant, and it offered you all kinds of gameplay, all kinds of goals for each level. Now this game offers you way more goals per level. You've got 10 things that you have to accomplish.
Right. The levels are bigger too, I thought.
Much bigger and much more interactive. You're pushing past things and things explode.
Well, the first one's like in a plane hangar.
Yeah.
There's all these like planes you can zip off their wings, and it's just a well thought out game. I give it a 9.2. I think it's I think it's a great game, and they did everything they could have possibly
I'm going to go you one better, man. I think this is the best PlayStation video game ever made. There's nothing better than.
Well, I gotta disagree with that. Yeah, how about Metal Gear Solid and Tekken 3? You
I like this better than those. This is my favorite kind of game. It's a game that you keep uncovering things. There's no end to the playability. You've got 2-player. You've got customized, build your own skate park. I love this thing. 10 out of 10. Fantastic. Make sure you pick it up the day it comes out. Okay, go long. Go for it. Go. Go. Okay. Hurry up. Faster.
We've got to leave the virtual skateboarding behind us for now.
That's right, we do. But coming up after the break, we've got a review of Darkest Dungeon. I wonder if we'll find my hustlers down there.
Oh, yeah, with your mounds bars.
I hid them in a really good place.
It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright.
Welcome back to EP Daily. For those who don't know, dungeons are kind of like the basements of castles. It's where everybody keeps their cross-country skis as if you're ever going to use them, and it's where spooky things tend to happen. So we dispatched EP's most fearless duo to review this next game. It's called Darkest Dungeon.
The indie game landscape is fairly littered, I say, with roguelike games. These are games where there's an element of risk involved, and if you screw up and your character dies, you're done. You got to start over from scratch. Today we're looking at a unique little roguelike called Darkest Dungeon. This is available on Steam. It's an early access, but it's a very polished game, and it's bringing together elements of roguelike and turn-based RPGs and town-building games, and I don't know, there's a real crazy mix of stuff in here, all wrapped up in an amazing art style.
As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
Let's start off with the art style, which I love.
Oh,
it's this
beautiful.
Great comic book thing, and honestly, that's a little bit overdone in games. But in this, it really works. It's a sort of Edward Gorey, Lovecraftian thing. So basically, you have a relative who has left you his crazy old house where he was.
You gotta watch the intro because
it is amazing.
It's like it's so, reclaim your birthright.
I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows.
So now the thing is that eventually sort of this whole town unlocks, and because there's your stables and barracks, and you've got like an abbey and a bar and a tavern. Because the really sort of interesting thing here is that all of your characters have a stress level, and sort of your resolve is tested, and so which makes sense because obviously you are dealing with a bunch of freaky monsters, and that's super stressful.
It's got like that's kind of one of the Lovecraftian things about it. It's like they don't call it sanity, but it kind of is because you're going into these dungeons and facing off against these horrible things, and when bad things happen to your party, your stress level goes up, and when it hits its max, your resolve is tested. Like it announces it, you know, Victor's resolve is tested, and will he become courageous? Will he become paranoid? Will he become fearful? And these reactions have an effect on your party. Sometimes, like when a guy goes nuts, he'll actually just become really aggressive and he'll attack without you issuing commands. You don't get to say what attack he's going to use or who he's going to attack. He's just in there doing his attacks. Or they'll become so fearful that they can't actually really participate, or they'll deny healing. They'll be like, I don't want to heal. Let me bleed out. You know, the blood is my suffering.
And you need the healers, right? So this is the thing. You can have, I think, up to like 20 guys, but it's a 4-person party that goes down every single time. And the other thing is, don't get too attached to your characters because they die. They die a lot. And so, I mean, I think that one of the other interesting sort of tactical things is basically, it's sort of like quarter combat. So the order of your team kind of really matters. So you want like a crusader up front, maybe like a healer or like your magic toting character in the back, that sort of thing. So that's sort of one of the other tactical things you got to think about.
And when you're putting like, you know, you send Scott to the tavern to have a drink so he'll like chill out, then he's not available for the next expedition. So as long as you leave your characters in the abbey or the tavern or wherever they're getting, you know, their mind fixed, they're not available to go down to the dungeons. So it's just basically you work up this roster of characters, all kinds of character classes. You got like plague doctors and grave robbers and crusaders and like bandits and all kinds of really unique monsters.
And that was the one thing that I wished maybe was a little bit more explanation, a little bit of the differences between classes.
Or any explanation.
Yeah, a little bit more maybe explanation of the difference in classes I would have liked, you know, and a little bit more how to do some things. But if you ever played an RPG,
yeah, if you're exploring the Darkest Dungeon, you got to figure stuff out as you go along, and then, you know, figure out what works well against what monsters, what spell effects are best. Eventually you build up, you know, equipment. You can level up your blacksmith. You can level up all the stuff in your town to make your party better. Their resolve builds up the more experience they get, so they don't get quite as stressed out. My resolve level, I think my if I was a character, my resolve level would be like 5. You know, I'd see a monster, I'd be like, out, see ya. The doctor's leaving. Have fun.
There's a ton of stuff in it, and it's done actually really, really well. And I think that even sort of the side-scrolling thing does add enough of a sort of difference to it as opposed to something, say, being top-down, right? Which is a lot of these games tend to be. So, no, it's a really, really neat game.
Yeah, this is a really cool mix of genres with an amazing art style. I really dug it. I'm going to be playing a lot more of it. I'm going to give Darkest Dungeon an 8.5.
Really liked it, 8 out of 10.
You still got it, boys. It's official. And up next, it's the TQOTD after these important messages.
If you want more EP, go to our website, epn.tv, for bonus content and full episodes. We're also on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to EP Daily. It's time now for the best part of today's show. It is the Twitter question of the day. This one comes from Aiden. He is at Shrek_Wrecker420.
Yeah, I think he chose 420 for a reason. I don't think he wanted 419.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, he asks, will you ever do a top 100 worst games and movies of all time list? That would be really cool.
I keep pushing that idea around here, and I get a lot of nopes, no, I don't want to play these crappy things. I don't want to see these crappy movies.
It's fun to play bad games sometimes, though.
It is, but I think 100 of them would drive people crazy. That would be so much negativity coming at you guys.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of negatives. But sometimes it's fun, and I feel like we don't have to play as much of them because we already know how terrible they are going in. And when you take in all of, I don't know, it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. You know, maybe we could just create the ranking and then send people to our website where they can watch all this.
You know what would be on there would be Tony Hawk Ride.
Yes, it would. Call back.
Yeah.
Hey, get caught up on all kinds of cool stuff, including full episodes at epn.tv.
And more coming for you in the next episode of EP Daily, including a behind-the-scenes look at Mad Max.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
EP would like to thank its sponsors, Nintendo, Xbox. EP's mobile coverage is brought to you by Gameloft, makers of Dungeon Hunter 5, which you can play for free on iOS and Android right now.
This idea that she's kind of saving these women, to me, just didn't feel as interesting as they belong to a man who hurt her incredibly. And she's just had enough. And she's going to take these women with her. And she's going to take what matters to him the most. She's going to take the most valuable thing away from him because he took the most valuable thing away from her.